Welcome to the BizBros Podcast. My name is Kyle Nelson, and I have my co-hosts Eli Libby and Clint Payne here. And today we have a very cool, special interview, story session version of the BizBros Podcast with none other than the Mr. Ben Sampson.
What's going
Welcome,
on,
Ben.
It's almost too formal of an intro for me.
Well, yeah, Mr. Ben Sampson.
You're expecting me to bring a lot to the table with the Mister. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, and the button-up blue shirt.
Prestigious.
Yeah, that's pretty good too. Well, cool, man. How's everything going?
Good. I mean, as good as it can be for any company that's going through COVID-19 right now. So, but our team is just powering through, and it's just another day at the office, at home, shelter in place. So rock and roll it.
There you go.
Perfect. Good. Nice little setup there. Got some natural light coming in, so that's cool.
Yeah. So my setup here, I've got, the French doors, which is nice, a little bit of natural light. I try to go out on the porch and just kind of look out to not go too stir crazy every now and again. So I have my moments of breaking down, but I come right back after those. So
Yeah.
We're feeling it too. Kind of getting cooped up. So
I see it in your eyes, Eli.
I'm feeling like a tiger in a cage. You know what I mean? I just feel like I am.
Kyle, you always feel that way.
It's true.
Let's kick it off, Ben. Let's learn a little bit more about you. So tell us a little bit about where you're from, your upbringing, and things that kind of shape you and who you are.
Yeah. Do you guys want me to go way back, like farm town back, or?
Yeah. Give us like your story and what's made and what's crafted you, the Ben Sampson, the Mr. Ben Sampson of today. What has crafted that?
Yeah, sure. Okay. I can talk a little bit about that. And if I'm boring, you guys just obviously throw up the stop sign. Or I'm sure Kyle or Clint or one of you guys could just cut me off. So, but I grew up in a little town called Mount Shasta. For those that are geographically challenged like me, Eli's like, done. Okay. Next question.
I'm kidding.
So no, I grew up in this little town called Mount Shasta. Again, I'm geographically challenged. So I like to say it's just, hour south of the border of Oregon. 4,000 people in the woods. I just like to say I grew up with a family of hippies on a cattle ranch. But both my parents were veterinarians, and we worked on a working cattle ranch. And it was an amazing upbringing. Like, you don't really realize how special that is until you actually leave and go to college. But both my parents owning their own business were both entrepreneurs. And I think, something that would probably resonate with a lot of your listeners is what I saw them doing as a child is watching them own their own destiny, in the sense that like they weren't working for someone else, like they were working for their dream every day. And that's the reason why they were working 80-hour weeks. And that stuck with me for sure. And just, gave me the work ethic that I have today. And that was kind of the core of my upbringing, and growing up on that cattle ranch, watching my parents work really hard in their business and just being part of their business. And so that's kind of where I came from. And fast forward, went to Chico State with a lot of you guys, had that entrepreneurial itch. I had started a company in high school in the apparel business, and then worked with a lot of you guys on another venture called Soul ID, which was, a social network for action and adventure sports, right at the heat of when social media was exploding. This was a time that Facebook just IPO'd. It was all the rage, and everybody and their mom was getting into social media. And so were we. And so really interesting time, and just an outrageous experience with a massive amount of lessons learned. And that kind of kept me going on a track into product and technology, where I then went to go work for a company called Outsell, working with hundreds of CEOs and entrepreneurs and making their businesses better, faster, stronger, and leading product at that company for 4 years. And then, fast forward, which we can get into more today, is I left that company and now run a venture called WeHero, where we help companies accomplish their social missions with really high impact volunteer and giving programs, what's called corporate social responsibility. And we work with mostly Fortune 500 companies, helping them execute those strategies.
Insane.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. It's good talking to all you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ben.
Mic drop.
We'll see you next time.
A lot of flashbacks. For those of you that don't know, Eli and I, we kind of headed the marketing and the media with Soul ID. So
way more than that. You guys were founders. I mean, you guys were
everything,
but
kind of our focus. But Totally. Yeah. That was a fun venture we had. And we talk about Soul ID a lot on this podcast. So Ben was one of the leaders in that company. So we're really excited to have him on the podcast.
Yeah. And
Some
Ben,
flashbacks.
yeah, it is.
A lot of flashbacks.
And Ben, I know I've told you before, but you kind of, gave me my gateway drug into entrepreneurship with Soul ID. And that's really where I got into the whole groove of working for yourself and doing what you love every day. So
There you go.
Awesome, man. Glad to hear that's part of the goal. Yeah.
Absolutely. It worked out good. And Soul ID was the best times of my life. I mean, some of those experiences we had were pretty cool.
Oh, they were insane.
Bumped elbows with our.
Well, we'll have to do a podcast with see how much of the Soul ID guys we can get on it and just talk about the experiences. That'd be actually
Stay tuned.
That'd be cool. Yeah. I mean, a highlight moment was Eli hanging out with Jeremy Stewart. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that was a great one. So to dive a little bit more into WeHero, how long you've been working on it? Where did that idea stem from?
Yep.
And what is really the different services you guys offer?
Yeah, I mean, backstory is a journey of failures, and calling it just a massive experience. So how this all started was Bryce and I were back home What?
Who's Bryce?
Bryce is my brother. Sorry. So yeah, my brother Bryce and I. Bryce is full stack developer, just a really talented engineer, and we've always poked around at different ideas, and we always had an idea of trying to do something together. And so, one of the things that we had always done is every year we would donate a sum of money to a nonprofit that we selected. And we just kind of found it a frustrating experience, as many do, that, you just don't see where that money goes and you don't see the impact that it makes. And we were just talking about that over a pale ale one night and decided, he brought up the point, we could probably quantify and measure that data and create a user experience where people could see that. And I was like, awesome, let's play around with that idea and experiment. And so we called this thing just an experiment. Both of us were doing other things full time. And we kind of just did this on the side, poking around with it. And as you all know, building something in the consumer space is incredibly challenging. And this was initially what we were building was a consumer facing application, or at least designing. And we really pushed that out to get feedback and did surveys and did a lot of the groundwork that I usually do in a product world. To see if it would gain traction. And the answer was coming back that it would not gain traction. If it did, it would be incredibly challenging. And so Bryce, still really keen on the idea, was going to keep working on it. And I looked at opportunities for how we could pivot it to a B2B business. And so what we did is we threw up a landing page just to see if there was any interest in corporate social programs that we could help run from a giving standpoint, actually donating. And we had a company reached out and they asked hey, I came across your company. Do you do volunteer programs at all? We have a need for volunteer programs. And I said, sure. Of course we do, which we have never done. Yeah. And so what we did was we put a program together that we felt might be a fit for this potential client. And they paid us money to do it. And I was like, okay, that's amazing. So we have a company that's paying us money to do something. We did it and they had an amazing time. And that client has done numerous events with us in numerous different offices across the US. And that's one client. But what that initially led us onto was there's a huge opportunity here. And maybe there's more companies that are struggling with this issue. And the issue being that companies have a hard time finding volunteer programs and giving programs where they are actually making an impact, where the employees are actually making an impact. And where when companies donate thousands to millions of dollars, they can actually measure that data, feed it back to their audience, feed it back to their shareholders. That's really important, especially when we look at a new era of sustainability and how companies think about that. Exactly. I mean, it's a massive data grab. And so that's kind of how we got the company started. And it was a series of pivoting over and over and over again and constantly reinventing our company to where it is today. And Eli, I don't know if I'm answering your question, but that's kind of how we got to where we are today.
Yeah, totally.
Crazy, man.
That's crazy. And the whole, the new style of employee, right? I know we've talked about this before, but as employees in the younger generation, we want to be able to give back. And we're constantly hounding upper management to try to figure out ways that we can give back to our community. And I think you guys are in a perfect spot for that.
Yeah. People want to work for and buy from companies that give back. I mean, you think about it like the purchase that you make, right? If you have a product that's side by side, I mean, you can answer honestly, but like if you have, pairs of shoes, right?
Yeah.
There's two shoe companies. You have one that's slightly more expensive, but it's like so socially minded. Let's say it feeds 10 families or it plants 20 trees. Like I guarantee you're going to spend that little bit of extra money to buy the shoe company that is creating some form of a social impact, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Because it feels good.
Yeah, it does. Although I'm sure we're all wearing Allbirds right now. But
I was earlier.
I'm wearing hamburger socks that Eli got me. So
Hey, nice. Yep.
I don't even know if I can get my leg that high.
Yeah. Hey, you got it. That was well done. I just pulled a hammy, so I'm out.
So Ben, so it started with the Chrome extension, and then it kind of started into like in-person events and like these kind of corporate giving things, and then coronavirus happened. So what's going on now? Like, how has the business evolved, and what's WeHero doing to kind of go virtual and go remote, and what do you foresee that's kind of ahead?
Yeah, I can tell you that story. So with our volunteer business was definitely the core of our business. And so leading up into COVID-19, we had a business that was growing 20 to 30% month over month at a really accelerated rate. And we were on track for March to post like our record number in regards to companies and revenue, just in who we were serving. And our volunteer events, are delivered in two ways. One, we ship volunteer events all over the nation to companies' offices. They're called DIY events, and they actually do the events in office themselves. And then we do these huge events that are 500 to 1,000 plus people. So we are categorized partially as an events company. And so what happened was in such a record timing, our large conference business disappeared overnight because all the venues started canceling. And we had this moment of like, okay, no problem. Like we've diversified enough, like we can ship a lot of our events to offices. So we were still doing that. So most of our business was still moving. And then quickly within 48 hours, offices across the US just started closing down. And within 72 hours, we had 90% cancel rate on all of our event experiences. Even just like a full inbox. If you picture like a full inbox of just like events getting postponed, canceled, postponed.
Gmail, it's refreshing. It sends you like one, and then like it's kind of delayed, and you get three more.
Yeah,
exactly. So it was. I've never experienced anything like that in my life, like so fast. And I'm a young guy, so like I haven't been through like as a professional like any kind of recession or crash or anything like that. So it's kind of like. So it's kind of like a surreal moment of just realizing like, oh my God, like this is happening and we need to think really fast. And so where do I go from here? Couple things happened. One, we started, of course, restraining capital as quickly as we possibly could. Two, we had to quickly figure out a new revenue stream crazy fast. So like our team got together like every day and start talking about how we're going to pivot the business. And we're also constantly, we're on the phone with our clients. So for a good week, we were just calling our clients, asking what they need. What's going on? What do you need? What are your gaps right now? And that was challenging because their whole business they were getting the rug pulled out from underneath them as well. It wasn't like this a recession where things happen progressively over like, a multi-month period.
Right.
For everybody, it happened so fast. So they were unprepared too. So what we did find though was that these CSR professionals or corporate social responsibility professionals, they were increasing their budgets rather than decreasing them. So 30%, they were putting 30% more into those CSR budgets, which was a good sign for us. So we needed something to serve them. We have a really good logistics operation. And so rather than shipping to offices, we just pivoted that entire operation to deliver programs to individual homes. Which was a massive challenge just because rather than shipping one package, you're shipping like 200 individual packages.
That's crazy.
So the logistical challenges there and stuff like that. And then the other thing was leaning really heavily on our technology piece. Clint brought up our browser extension. We have a browser extension that enables you to make an impact just by browsing the web. You can select your favorite causes. And to Bryce's core technology that we talked about earlier, you actually see the impact, the quantified impact that like your money and your web browsing is making. It doesn't cost you a dime.
That's super cool.
So That's our COVID-19 era right now.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. Wow.
Insane.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No. Did you have something else you wanted to add to that? Wait.
No. I mean, I could keep going. So.
In the last year of operating and running WeHero, what is something that you would change, kind of looking back on the year? What is something you'd change about how you did business in the last year?
How we did business?
Or yeah, what is something that, it doesn't have to be did business, but like, what is something you would change in the last year in regards to the business?
That's a really good question.
Even as you like as just like a leader running the team, like, is there anything you would do differently looking back and
yeah.
Year?
So we've had tons of failures, like it's just constantly falling on your face and learning from them. And
Yeah.
I would continue to do those. Like, I think that's just like the fastest way to learn.
Uh-huh.
But I think, I'll talk a little bit about one of the things I struggle with is process design, as well as alleviating ownership of like, so I have a hard time like passing off ownership to someone else, right? Training employees is really challenging, and putting 100% trust in them is really challenging, and building process for scale.
Yeah.
Like that's been like, we've been doing that and spending a lot of time doing that. And there's a partner in the company, Andy, that takes a lot of credit for doing that. But for me, it's like a little bit of a cheese grater to the forehead. Cause like, it's like as you guys know, it's like your baby, and you work so hard at it, and you just want to make sure it's perfect, and letting those things go. I wish I was better at that. Honestly, I wish I was better. Something I'm still working at today. I was talking to our friend Sean about that the other day. It's just something that I would like to be better at. So,
awesome. I think that's perfect. I mean, we've been working with that. We've been doing something similar with like starting to get stuff off of our plate and trying to focus on the bigger tasks at hand versus like feeling we need the ownership over these small mundane tasks that we could easily outsource or bring on to another team member or something like that. So
I feel like you guys have talked about that on your show, even just like, how process and just ops in general is so important.
Delegation's important, man. It's like you have to figure out the opportunity cost and time, right? It's like, how much time is this individual going to free me up, and is the ROI worth it?
Yeah.
That's how we look at it. So WeHero's moving. You've been working on it for 2 years now or something, a couple years, I think, right?
Full-time. I went full-time in October, but it's been a project, like a big experiment for like the last 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
So what does 2 years from now look like? What's your goal? Where would you love to, is there specific services or products you want to be coming out with, or specific milestones you're trying to reach?
Yeah, so we have like a team mission of empowering 10 million people with the tools to give and volunteer impactfully and efficiently. And that's like, that's a big goal for us. And we track how many people we are enabling to give in a really impactful way. It's a massive goal for us. From just like a business standpoint, we have a huge focus on the Fortune 500. We'd like to be serving, 60 to 70% of the Fortune 500 in 2 years' time. Massive goal of ours. And then also we just have, normal, as any company does, just their revenue and their sales goals. I think one thing that we do, because we operate in the social sector as a for-profit company. So it's a really interesting model. So we have revenue and sales figure goals, but we also have our own impact goals as well. So like, for example, like we have goals of how many trees we are going to actually plant, like and enable companies to plant, carbon offsets. We have tons of goals like that. We measure that alongside our revenue goals. Cause we have to eat our own dog food. We can't preach one thing to companies.
Are you guys a B Corp?
What's that?
Are you a B Corp?
No, not right now. Eventually, yes, we want to be. So we're just new on the block. So that's why. But one day, yes, we will be a B Corp.
Nice.
Good question.
I think for anybody, establishing a B Corp isn't an easy thing. You have to go in front of boards, and I know it's quite the process. So.
Yeah. So, but it's a great thing to do. I highly encourage any company that wants to do that, look into doing that. So
that's awesome, man.
That's interesting. Ben, do you think like as you kind of, and we're talking about like these like larger like Fortune 500 companies, and like to scale a business, like you focus on like the 20% that's going to pay for the 80%. So like as you're kind of talking about like these bigger companies, like they're a little bit more educated on like the things that they need to do. to be corporate like responsible, but these like micro companies and like even in like the 10 to 20 to $30 million space, they could still show some love. So do you think that they're educated enough to kind of do that? And do you feel like the curve is shifting that like direction?
Yeah, they have to. Like companies are forced to change, and they're forced to change now because what's happening is all the employees are asking for it. So like 1 in 3 employees that come in for an interview, in the interview ask about the social programs the company has, which is crazy to think about. That in that interview, before they even accept the job, they're asking about
That's
what
crazy.
that company's doing.
Is it based on like a certain industry? Like, is there, like, from your experiences, like tech that you're seeing a lot of your clients with?
It's not so much like an industry, it's more so generational. It's like the age of the employee that's coming in.
Wow.
And that's a big piece. And I think there's a number of reasons for that. You know, if you look at like the millennial generation as an example, like it's a generation that was so connected globally. I mean, like for the first time ever, we were connected to people across the globe. And as a result, not only were we seeing everything that was happening across the globe, but we were also seeing issues that were happening across the globe firsthand. So we're such a connected generation. So there's reasons for that, but I don't think it's industry specific. Tech naturally is going to be more, you know, accustomed, and they're going to have budgets that they're going to put there quickly just because the war on talent is so high. That's part of it. Like it's a battle of talent, and this is one of the levers they can pull. So, but yeah.
Before you know it, we're going to start expecting like Allbirds. Like if you go get hired at a company, like you want Allbirds because they're like socially sustainable. Like you're going to want this whole product line of like things on your desk when you arrive.
I'm down.
And Chrome extension downloaded from WeHero. So
yeah, that would be awesome. But yeah, I think all to the earlier question around like size of companies, Clint, and like who's participating. I think it doesn't matter your size. You have to figure out a way to do it. I think this COVID-19 thing's also been so interesting. I think how companies respond to this right now is so immensely important. I mean, the way a company responds to this disaster is going to define their brand and their company for 5 to 10 years. So like these months and these days are so important. You're seeing companies react just on an immense time frame, just an accelerated time frame, because it is so important right now.
100% true.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So as you move through all these, actually, I'm a different one. When did you know that WeHero is kind of at its tipping point? I know you got a ton of growth left, but when did you know that this is actually something that you want to pursue, and you know that the business is going to be successful, and you know that it actually has some traction behind it? What was that tipping point?
There's a couple of them. Like there's been numbers of them. I think there will continue being numbers of tipping points for any company. There was a couple big ones for us. One, in the very early days, we got approached by Visa to do volunteer programs for that company. And every new employee that comes on to Visa now does a WeHero volunteer experience.
That's awesome.
Like that was like a big moment for us, because that was the first big brand that had ever worked with us. We had started with small companies and startups, and that was a big logo that approached us. And so that was a tipping point where we're like, okay, like, wow. And then I think there was when we started hitting like huge growth accelerators. So there were months we were growing 40, 50%. And then we kind of had that moment of like, okay, this is the thing, like we need to commit and do this full time.
Yep, exactly.
Or else it's going to get away from us. And then I would even say like February, March, there was going to be a huge tipping point, but like the rug got pulled out from underneath us. That was probably one of the most frustrating things ever, is everything's going your direction, it feels like, and you feel like you're on top of the world. And then out of nowhere, you get a blow to the side of the head.
100%.
Huge lesson there. Like,
totally.
Yeah. Don't be so, huge lesson for me. I was pretty certain myself and of the world, and not out of nowhere. You just never know.
That's true. But it'll be a good one to add to the storybook. Down the road.
All right, we got. Go ahead. I thought you finished.
I was joking. One of the things we're gonna do is get like a wall of shame in our office, and it's just gonna be like all our failures and just terrible moments, just to remember.
Yeah.
I'll send you a photo of Eli for that.
Amazing.
All right, so we got 5 more minutes, and we want to wrap it up with some a little bit of a lightning round. You ready?
Ready. Hit me with it.
Cool. What's your favorite quarantine snack?
Oh God, I've been eating everything. Good question. I've been eating massive amounts of raw almonds. I buy like huge bags of raw almonds, and they've been my
good
go-to snack. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. One superpower, what would it be?
I'd like to move things with my mind.
That would be pretty sweet. I'm down. All right. What was the most impactful purchase under $50 you recently made in the last 6 months?
Under $50 in the last 6 months. Great question.
Come on.
I know the rapid fire is killing me. Because I'm on the spot. That's not even an exciting one. Because I'm on the spot, I'll talk about. So we do a massive amount of logistics and shipping, and so we look at things that are costing our company massive amounts of time. One of those things is labels. And so labeling a package you think is really simple, but when you're doing hundreds of them, it takes a massive amount of time for people. So we got this like really cool label maker, prints out hundreds of labels, crazy fast to put them on the package.
That's a killer answer.
So yeah, anyways, not the most thrilling investment, but
actually really good. That was really good.
Yeah.
It was actually pretty thought. Okay, we got 2 more questions. Last app that you downloaded.
Let me go look.
Appropriate.
So you guys are gonna laugh at me. I downloaded a Formula One racing app. I've been super into Formula One lately. So highly recommend the Formula One documentary on Netflix. It's really good. So that was my last one. Also, UPS logistics app, not as exciting. So Formula One racing app, highly recommend it. Great way to.
All right.
Yeah. Nice. And
tag is Slayer530 if you want to find me in race.
Yeah, I wrote that. I'm gonna write that down.
That's pretty good. And one last question. Someone just told you that they wanted to start a business. What was one thing that you could tell them to get them motivated?
Not to get them motivated, but would get them motivated, take a step. A lot of people are so hesitant to take a step. That's like the hardest part. And like accepting that like they're going to fail and they're going to be judged and they're going to be scrutinized. And that first step's just really hard to take. It's kind of like when you go on a run, the hardest part about going on a run is putting your shoes on. Once the shoes are on, like and you commit to running the 3 miles, you're going to run the 3 miles.
Sure.
The other thing that I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs about is product market fit. It's something that I had to study a lot and work a lot with companies on when I was at Outsell running product there. And something I look into a lot and find it creates a lot of success for companies. It helped with WeHero a lot. We quickly found product market fit, and I would talk to companies a lot about that and the importance of it.
Nice, man.
Interesting.
Awesome. So aside from your Formula One racing game, where else can people find you at, and where can they learn more about WeHero at?
Best way to find me is on LinkedIn. Just go Ben Sampson on LinkedIn. Connect with me there. Would be happy to talk with you. Any other social channel probably as well. My email is ben@wehero.co, and WeHero, just Google WeHero. It'll be the first one that comes up. And feel free to reach out. We have a dog with a WeHero super dog named Kai that'll pop up on our website. Say hi.
I'm all about Kai.
People love Kai. I mean, we had 4 people today that literally like just reached out to say hi to Kai. Had no intentions, just were on our site like, "What's up, Kai?" Like, yeah.
So cool.
It's such a good branding move.
Yeah.
So smart. You're like doing a lovable dog to talk to, and then you grab him as a lead.
Yeah, dude. We have, he's
our there he
guy,
is. There he is.
Awesome.
Everybody loves Kai.
That's awesome.
Well, Ben, we appreciate you coming on the BizBros Podcast. Make sure, if you haven't yet, to our listeners, subscribe to our podcast channel and our YouTube channel. And we look really forward to the next episode. We'll talk to you guys all real soon.
Talk to you guys soon.
See you guys.
Thank you guys.